You know that feeling, right? When you set these huge, ambitious goals and then you just watch them fizzle out? Well, today we're going to talk about a totally different approach. We're exploring how tiny daily actions can completely rebuild your mindset for some pretty unstoppable success. So let's dive in.
So, let's just start with a question that probably hits home for a lot of us. Why do our biggest goals, those New Year's resolutions, those grand plans, why do these so often just end in frustration? We've all been there, right? Super motivated on day 1, and then by day 10, we're right back to our old habits. What is going on here? The problem, a lot of the time, comes down to this idea called the myth of big change. We're kind of taught to believe that transformation has to be this huge, dramatic, overnight thing, this massive, heroic effort. But in reality, that kind of pressure is it's almost impossible to sustain. It sets us up for burnout, not a breakthrough.
And that brings us to the core idea we're talking about today. I mean, this quote just flips the whole script, doesn't it? It tells us that real, lasting change isn't born in some big, dramatic moment. Nope. It's forged in all those tiny, consistent decisions we make, day in and day out. That is a powerful, powerful shift in perspective. Okay, so if that big, all-at-once change is a myth, then what's the truth? What actually works? Well, the solution lies in understanding the incredible power of the microhabit. This is where we shift from the problem to the solution. And honestly, it's a total game changer. All right, so what exactly is a microhabit? Think of it like this. It's an action so small, so easy, that it's almost harder not to do it. The key here isn't the size of the action itself, but the consistency. When you do it every single day, you start to build momentum. And that momentum, that's what creates massive long-term change. Okay, theory's great and all, but let's get practical, right? Let's talk about what you can actually do. I'm going to walk you through 3 super simple, science-backed micro-habits that you could literally start tomorrow morning to begin building this momentum for yourself. First up is one you've probably heard before, but stick with me because we're going to look at it in a totally new way. Make your bed. Yeah, I know. It sounds almost silly, right? It takes, 2 minutes? But the psychology behind this simple act, that's where the magic is. So here's that powerful shift in thinking. On one hand, yeah, you're just tidying up, no big deal. But psychologically, you're achieving what's called an identity win. You're basically proving to yourself, first thing in the morning, hey, I'm the kind of person who gets things done. And that one little win, it just sets the tone for the whole rest of the day. All right, let's move on to habit number 2. This one is just as easy. Seriously, before you do anything else, before the coffee, before you even think about checking your phone, just drink a glass of water. A simple act of hydration. And you guessed it, this is another one of those identity wins. This isn't really just about quenching your thirst. It's a health win. You're sending a message to your brain, I am someone who takes care of my body. You're literally building evidence, brick by brick, for this identity you're creating. Okay, for our third habit, we're going to shift gears a little bit from the physical to the mental and emotional side of things. It's super simple. Name your emotions. All this means is taking a second, especially when you feel kind of overwhelmed, to get specific about what's going on inside. And here's why this works so well. It's all about going from vague to specific. Like saying, ugh, I feel so stressed. That's just this big, foggy cloud hanging over you, right? But saying, okay, I feel anxious because I have this deadline coming up, well, that changes everything. Suddenly, that big, scary cloud becomes a specific problem. And a problem is something you can actually solve. It gives you back the control. And all of this, all 3 of these habits, they all point to one central, really powerful truth. Just let this one sink in for a second. Micro habits create massive change. It is not about taking one giant leap. It's about taking hundreds of tiny, consistent steps day after day. And before you know it, you look up and you're in a completely different place. So the big question is, how do you actually put this to work for you? Like right now? Well, let's talk about getting that very first small win and starting to build that unstoppable mindset we've been talking about. It really comes down to 3 golden rules. Okay, first, start ridiculously small. I mean, smaller than you even think is necessary. Second, and this is a big one, focus on consistency, not intensity. It's not about going hard for one day, it's about just showing up every day. That's the only thing that matters. And third, let each win build on the last one. You made your bed? Awesome. Acknowledge that win and let that confidence carry you forward. And that really brings us to the end. I'm just going to leave you with this one final thought. This isn't about some massive life revolution that has to happen overnight. It's about choosing just one tiny, achievable victory. So my question for you is, what small win are you going to choose for yourself tomorrow